Hi. This is The Tiny Movie. This time I explain a drama mystery thriller of 2021, The Voyeur, so, spoilers ahead. A young couple, Pippa and Thomas sign a lease after long waiting to start their life together and to move into their dream downtown apartment in Montreal. Pippa works as an ophthalmic assistant in the Leptique building, and Thomas is a home-based musician video creator. On the first night after moving to their first home, Pippa excitedly asked Thomas to not have kids for at least for the next 4 years, so she can have her time on her hands after years of studying in medical school. Thomas agrees and cheerfully, they drink to their decision. While drinking they notice their windows are looking directly into the opposite neighbor's apartment, which their exhibitionist attractive couple is kissing each other, then getting naked and start sleeping with each other in front of their shocking eyes. Pippa tells Thomas it's better not to spy on the neighbors, but Thomas believes it's not spying when that couple is in their direct vision, and maybe they want people to watch them. Pippa asks Thomas to stop it anyway. The night passes. Before going to bed, Pippa puts her makeup on and goes to have their first lovemaking with Thomas at the new home, but he's sleeping, and this kills Pippa's mood, so she sleeps annoyed. The next morning Pippa describes the last night scene to her friend, Ari, and colleagues on Leptique. Ari tells Pippa that it's absolutely acceptable watching neighbors' sex when they're doing it openly, but Pippa doesn't agree. During that day, Pippa's boss gives her a housewarming present, a Japanese lantern. When Pippa returns home, Thomas makes a painting representing their love, and Pippa happily hugs her and goes to hang the Japanese lantern outside. Thomas goes to the windows, compares themselves to them, and starts creating a fantasy in which their non-privacy sensitive neighbors become friends with them. They decide to go on watching them, so imaginary naming their neighbors. Pippa called the girl to be definitely a Margot, and the boy to be a Brent. Lost in their fantasy, Brent suddenly begins to cough as if he is suffocating, while Margot unaware was listening to music and dancing in the kitchen. They start shouting to get Margot's attention to the Brent suffocating, but she couldn't hear them. Thomas wanted to go over there to help him, but suddenly Margot notices Brent and saved him from suffocation. That night in the bed, Pippa couldn't sleep. She comes back to the window. Seeing that perfect guy over there having sex in front of them made her be captivated. Pippa saw Margot leaving with a suitcase, and the Brent half-naked saying goodbye to her. Brent comes behind the window to watch Margot leaving, giving Pippa the opportunity to greedily watch Brent's body, until Brent looked at her. Pippa looked so shocked that lost a glass and broke it. The next night, as Pippa was returning home, she noticed a binocular in a shop window. Pippa came up with the idea and bought the camera. Now Pippa and Thomas could watch their neighbor better. They keep on spying. They see that Brent is opening the door to a new girl as his new photo model. Soon Brent seduces his model to sleep together, and seeing the scene makes Pippa and Thomas get hot. Gradually they're switching their inner source of sex appeal to an outside cause. That night, Pippa thinking about that couple made her unable to sleep, so, sneaky, she returns to check the neighbor. She realized that Margot coming back home. Pippa finds out that Brent is cheating. The next day, Pippa, Thomas, Ari, and Joni, Thomas's sister, are in the restaurant arguing about Brent and Margot's weird relationship. Thomas believed they are amongst the little percentage of the couples who were called swinger in old days. Joni asks Siri about swingers couple, and it answers that based on some research, 15% of couples are allowing each other extramarital sex. This considerable number surprises them except Pippa, who feels sorry for Margot, while the other three are having fun. She says, "I wish we could hear what they're telling each other." At this moment, Joni looking at Thomas, loudly saying huh. Saying this makes Joni reminisce about one of the funny college memories, when Thomas fell in love with one of his classmates, Killy, but didn't dare talk to her, so they figured out how to assembling quickly a laser pointer into a loud microphone, based on a YouTube tutorials to listen to their private conversations, to discover if Killy was interested in Thomas. Pippa is hugely passionate about this device, wants Thomas to show her how this device works. As they return home, Thomas explains how they can use it to spy on their opposite neighbor. Thomas explains that to receive back the signals from their apartment, they need a mirror thing inside their house, but it's illegal. Putting the mirror inside their house needs good luck, but Brent and Margot have the satyr, so we can't do that. Pippa doesn't know what satyr means. Thomas believed in superstition, so explains that it was the Roman fertility spirit, and wants Pippa to look at Brent's apartment. Pippa came up with a plan while looking at Brent with that weird characteristic satyr mask. They sneaked into the ceremony Brent's Halloween party without being invited. Once they entered the apartment, Brent lifted Pippa and brought her to his shooting location. Shocked, Thomas stood next to Pippa. Brent approached him dramatically, pushed him into a chair, put his face close to Pippa, gazed at her eyes, and put her leg on the chair. Pippa looked at him while her heartbeat was obvious at her face and eyes. Brent takes the photo and disappeared among the others. Thomas takes this opportunity and goes to the spot, hides Pippa behind his cloak to stick the reflector, and gladly returns home to operate their plan. Quickly they turn on the microphone, point the laser to the reflector, and regulate the microphone with a laser pointer, and Thomas runs voice filtration settings on the computer to receive the sound clearly. Waiting to receive the signal, Pippa erases the love painting and smashed the chalkboard erasers together so she could trace the laser in the dust. And it works. Now on, besides looking closer, they can hear them. The first thing they hear is the couple arguing. Margot calls Brent the cheater and Brent hit her and breaks her glass. Pippa and Thomas are shocked and sorrowful. The next day, Pippa unexpectedly sees that Margot comes to their clinic to buy new glasses. During the eye examination, Pippa starts a friendly conversation, and Margot tells her that she's a cool girl, and then Margot asks Pippa to have a friendly meeting at the weekend. Pippa gives her number to her, and Margot leaves. That night, when Pippa comes home, tells Thomas she met Margot, whose real name is Julia, and they hit it off and are gonna meet each other at the weekend. Thomas tells that this is crazy, which isn't good for them, and suggests she stop spying on their neighbor and cancel the meeting. Pippa responds, "If I were cheating on you, wouldn't you know?" She calls this her moral responsibility to save her. Thomas wants her to back to their relationship, as they have decided about their mutual relationship's future before. Thomas is afraid he's not enough for Pippa, but Pippa denies this and goes on talking about her meeting. This made Thomas leave the house angrily to the bar. The next day, Pippa meets Julia and they go to a local spa. There, Julia starts talking about her personal life. She explains her relationship with her husband, Sebastian, which she calls Seb, who is her everything. She adds, she is an ex-model who has no career these days, because she doesn't know what to do with her life, she has lost her life meaning, and she is afraid to break down mentally. Pippa asks Julia to meet again in the future, and then they bid farewell. During that day, at home, Pippa got more obsessed than before, sitting by the window observing every moment of Seb and Julia, while the home atmosphere got heavier. Like every other night, she couldn't sleep. She goes to the system very carefully, so that Thomas wouldn't notice and turn on the mic and spies. This time, she wants to take the risk to send a paper text to Julia, so try to find their printer. In the second test, she can find the destination printer device. She sends a test message to see how it turns out. Surprised, Julia crumpled the print message. Seeing this, Pippa instantly sent another message to Julia. "Your husband cheating on you?" Frightened Julia confuses from where that message was sent. At the same time, Pippa sends the third message to Julia that she can find a used condom on the bathroom's trash cans. Julia goes to the bathroom and finds the condom, and frustrated and broken, she starts to cry. Thomas is awake now, angrily tells Pippa, "What are you doing?" Pippa answered, "I am worried, I can't sit and watch." Feeling miserable, Julia goes to the kitchen and picks up a knife to kill Seb, but gives up at the last moment. But the anxiety over Papa's decision and the awful result it could have had led Thomas to break the binocular furiously. In the morning, Thomas wakes up Pippa and tells her he's disappointed. Pippa hugs him and promises to not use the binoculars again. While everything seems to be over, Pippa sees Seb trying to wake up bloody Julia. She has committed suicide. At this time, Thomas can no longer stand the situation and tells Pippa that he leaves her. Pippa begs her to stay because she is frightened and needs him, but Thomas blames her for the death of Julia and leaves the apartment. Pippa cries the whole night. The day after the death of Julia, after returning home, Pippa was watching Seb all the time, imagining herself consoling him. Mournful Seb goes to the bar. Watching this, Pippa rapidly follows her. At the bar, she was stealthy looking at him. She wants to get closer to him but not daring. Seb noticed her looks, coming to her. He asked Pippa to sit here with him until his partner came. Pippa says that's okay, and then Seb distractedly starts asking questions her about watching porn and masturbating. He wanted to know if masturbating Pippa's partner while watching porn had an effect on Pippa's feelings for that person. Pippa answered that probably not. Seb keeps telling that he had many meaningless sexes with many people cause his penis isn't connected to his brain and emotions, so not every sex means cheating, same as masturbating. Pippa does not agree with him. Seb apologizes for his psychotic behavior and tells that he's experiencing his worst separation ever. After drinking it, Seb asks if it's not strange, he's willing to take her pictures. Pippa had waited a long time for this moment, so she accepted and goes to Seb's home to take pictures, which they both knew that photography was not the main topic. At his home, Seb first starts taking 1 or 2 pictures exactly like his pattern, which Pippa totally is familiar with, but pretending that not. Then seduction starts. Seb taking off his shirts and ask Pippa to do the same for underwear shooting. As a result, after some other shoots, they start having sex all night. At the same time, Thomas returned their home. Opens the door and finds nobody, calling Pippa, but no answer. Opens the refrigerator, sips his favorite juice, and pours the remains into the lantern for birds. There she accidentally sees something, which couldn't believe, so picks up the binocular to check better. What he's seeing annihilates him. The love of his life is having sex with Sebastian, who Pippa was insisting on rescuing Julia from. The next morning, Pippa comes back home. The door was open. She was scared. Cautiously, she opens the door very slowly, seeing a fallen bouquet, and seconds later, the Thomas who had hanged himself. She had now indirectly caused 2 people to be killed. A day after the funeral, 2 days after Thomas's death, Pippa sees an ad of Sebastian exhibition around the apartment. Returned home and makes up, changed her face from a mourner to her normal, and went to meet her friend, Ari. There she described the sequence of events that lead to Thomas's death, and tell Ari that she is the reason for all this bad happening. However, Ari calms her and tells her she shouldn't blame herself at all, because Thomas dumped her, and she has the right to do whatever she wanted at that time. Ari tells Pippa that she's a good person who deserves to move on. Pippa responds, "Is it illogical to see Sebastian again? I think seeing him helped me to move on." Ari asks where Sebastian is, and Pippa tells that it's the exhibition's opening night. That night, they go to the exhibition together, which is full. Seb sees Pippa, takes a picture, and tells her indifferently that he didn't expect to see her here. Pippa expressed interest in seeing the photos. There, Pippa sees the woman who rented the house to them. Seb goes on stage and sadly announces that this project is a collaboration with the love of his life, Julia. Hearing such a compliment, Pippa tells Ari she wants to return home. At this point, Sebastian invites his late wife Julia to come on stage. Pippa shockingly watches Julia going on stage. Julia explains to participants that this exhibition is a modern fable, a tragic tale of a sweet young girl, Pippa, and pointed to where Pippa was. The cover of the paintings removed one by one and one after another, the photos of Pippa and Thomas from the first day of their residence until the day of Thomas's hanging exposed. Seb explains that Pippa and Thomas were living in an apartment that belonged to them. He adds that when the two moved on to their apartment, first their future was bright. Since they start caring about other people's life more than their own, they tore apart emotionally. So everything turned to an obsession for Pippa. Seb clears it up that they even illegally entered their house, planted a microphone. Well, Pippa and Thomas were thinking they are spying on their neighbor. Actually, it was reversed. Manipulated, devastated, Pippa exits the exhibition, goes to the Seb and Julia's apartment. Takes the key, opens the door, goes inside, and notices a door on the roof. She climbs the stairs, opens the door, and realizes that a developed photography studio with several cameras was automatically shooting them moment by moment. Wretchedly inside, she trashes the studio. The next day, Pippa is moving to another place and she is leaving. Lantern with her, seeing many birds are dead below the lantern, and sees Julia is waving at her. She figures out something. Days after, Seb and Julia are interviewing with Japanese media about their mutual project. The reporter asks them, "Did the fact that the couple signed the lease without reading it morally allow you to carry out this project?" They explain to the reporter that, on the last page of the lease, Pippa and Thomas have signed the allowance of being photographed by them, so if they didn't read that page, it isn't their responsibility, like many other people who click on the accept button of many sites' terms and condition. Seb, angry with the question, adds that they sold the project everywhere and gained a disgusting amount of money. After the interview, Pippa is chazzing them. When Seb and Julia return home, find a bottle of wine, gifted to them. Julia tells Seb they're tired of congratulation gift. Seb asks who sent it, and Julia read the paper stuck to the bottle. It is sent by the Tate. They drink together. Seconds later, they receive a print message, one that says, "I know." The second message says, "I know Thomas didn't commit suicide." This time the third message receives, "You killed him." Seb looks outside to find out who is sending them the messages and notices Pippa is on the roof. She starts running and Seb and Julia chasing her. Pippa runs to the Laptique, and the two followed her inside. Pippa goes to her office and Seb and Julia find her in her office. Frightened, Pippa reveals that she knows they drugged Thomas and hanged her to the way it appears he committed suicide. Julia tells her that it's a hell of a theory, you have to prove it. Pippa tells she hadn't any proof, but knows it. She blames Seb that she was exposed by him and manipulated, but they can't hurt her anymore. Julia gets dizzy and faints. Pippa tells Seb, "I was the Tate who sent you the wine, and you, like Julia, would faint in moments." Seb faints and falls. Pippa grabs his face and tells him that she's the last face, the last thing he's gonna see. Pippa takes Seb and Julia to the laser device and starts burning their corneas with a powerful surgical laser. Days after, two new people are living in the apartment. One of them looking at the Seb and Julia's apartment. The other guy asked him to mind his own business. At the same time, in the apartment opposite, Sebastian and Julia, they have lost their sight, and the movie ends. Subscribe for watching videos like this, turn on notifications, and thank you for watching.